Hey guys, so it's Rick here, back with another game, and today, boys, we have a very special game. I think that overall, from all the games that I've played in the standard format, the slower games of chess, this was the game that I played my best overall, and let's see how it went. So, my opponent here is 1667, he's Lorenzo Silva, and yeah, I'm playing with the white pieces. Let's see how it went. So I opened with e4, excuse me, and he played c5. So I mean, three Sicilians, three games with the white pieces, and three Sicilians. I literally only played against Sicilians, against the woman candidate master, against that 1900, and now against the 1600, just the Sicilian is just so popular here in Portugal. I don't know if it's like this all over the world, but Jesus, in Portugal is very popular against e4, the Sicilian opening. Um, I went for my knight c3, pet line, with knight c6, bishop b5, and here he played g6. So here I was very comfortable. I just took. He took back with the d pawn. I played d3, bishop g7, bishop e6, attacking c5, b6, defending c5, f4, the standard move in this type of the close Sicilian slash Grand Prix attacks that I like to go for. Here he played knight f6, developing his pieces. I played h3. I just wanted to, you know, prevent him from going knight g4, attacking my bishop. Pretty much that was the old thing. And he played queen c7. I played queen f3. Normally I go knight f3, but I felt like my queen was well placed on f3, and maybe I could go knight g on e2. And yeah, I just felt like this was the better move, uh, activating the queen to this square. And actually, it's a very nice move. He went bishop b7, which I was okay. Maybe he's gonna castle queen side. Maybe he's gonna castle king side. I think he was kind of waiting for me to decide where I wanted to castle, so he could get opposite side castling. But I was also doing the same. I was kind of watching for his plan, and I didn't want to be the first one to commit, so I just kept developing my pieces with knight g on e2. He went long castle now, and I went long castle as well. So we have a very interesting middle game position where I have a simple plan of putting my pawns on light squares, and yeah, just start expanding on the king side here, where I'm have some space advantage, and start creating weaknesses for my opponent and start targeting them. So far so good. He went knight d7 here. I went rook f1, developing the last piece. And he went rook f8. Here I played g4, just gaining space, as I said, putting my pawns on light squares. He went king b8. I went queen f2, and this queen f2 was sort of a move that I played to maybe transfer my queen to h4. Also, keep an eye on this pawn, because if he ever moves the b5 pawn, this c5 pawn is very weak. And also, as he put the king on b8, this becomes weaker in an eventual push of the pawn. So I felt like this was a nice move. Queen f2. I could also just go king b1 and copy him, but I felt like queen f2 had some ideas, because in the event of me putting the queen on h4, maybe push f5, target this pawn, and I liked my position a lot. He went king h8, which, I mean, okay, I didn't really understand. It felt like he was just being too passive and just waiting for me to commit to something, to f5 or something like that. Um, then I played king b1, and he played bishop a6. I played b3, and I was very happy when I looked at my position after b3 because I just managed to put pretty much all my pawns on light squares after trading the light square bishop, which is just strategically a very nice idea. And here, I mean, I just wanted to not let him play this move because of course he wants to play c4 to get rid of this weakness here with the double pawns, but b3 manages to keep this c4 push under control, which is very nice. Okay, it weakens a little bit my diagonal, but so far there's nothing happening. The knights are well protecting each other, and yeah, the action is really not on the queen side, it's more on the king side. So here he went knight f6, and here I mean I could strike with f5 directly, and I don't know. I felt like I didn't strike with f5 directly just because my queen was on the same file as the rook. So first of all, I just gained even more space with a4. Um, and of course, he can't really push this easily because this pawn is always very weak, as I said, and is hanging. And I just wanted to make some room for my king in the event that I need to move it and have some space to not get checkmated in the future. Just a more gaining space move, improving my position. He went e6 here, and I went uh, bishop f2. Bishop f2, I don't exactly know the reason why. Maybe because like I haven't looked in this game in a while, but I think maybe go knight g3 and try to push f5 and this protecting this knight here. He went knight d7 back. Uh, and I went f5. I just wanted to play f5, and I managed to uh, keep do this, beautiful strategic idea and beautiful position that I have here. Just look at this, very nice. I have the initiative, and I'm doing very well. He took, I took with the g pawn, and here he played a knight f6. I played queen h4, dating him into playing h6, which is not a move here. Um, Here the computer suggests just bishop f4 here, uh, attacking the queen, and when the queen moves, going e5, which yeah, I mean it's very strong because on like knight d5 I probably have like f6 even, and if he takes on f4, I just take on f4, and look at this bishop. It's just so sad here, just locked away in prison, and I just have simple ideas like knight e4 going into d6, and I'm just positionally winning for sure. This is just overwhelming for him. Sorry. But yeah, I didn't see all of this, and I considered bishop f4, but I didn't see this sequence of moves. Also bishop g5, but on bishop g5 I didn't really like h6 here, uh, because I'm not gonna take, of course. My bishop is getting attacked. I'm not gonna go back to h4 and let him push g5 and stop all my improvement on the king side. And in bishop f4 had pretty much the same idea with e5, which I didn't see. But yeah, I went for the more direct approach of queen h4, just targeting this, and maybe bishop f4 next, and just keep bringing pieces into the king side. And here he played a blunder, which I already calculated before playing queen h4, which is h6. h6 looks like a move. Looks like black is trying to trap white into taking this pawn, but actually I was the one who trapped black into thinking that he could play h6. It was funny. So I just played f takes g6 first, f takes g6, and then I played bishop takes on h6. And I mean, it was funny because, like, there was a kid, uh there was a game going on next to my board, and there was a kid that was watching a lot my game, and he was looking at the position right now, and when I played bishop h6, he just looked at me like this. Just looked, what? You are crazy. You just blundered. He looked at me like so shocked, like, oh my god, you just blundered. And I was like laughing a little bit because I'm like, okay, he didn't see the idea as well. So, of course, my opponent also didn't see it. Otherwise, he wouldn't play bishop h6, which is just a mistake. So here, it looks like a big blunder because it just rook h8. And I can't take the bishop because he takes my queen. And it almost looks like I'm gonna just sack my queen for two pieces and a rook. And this position is kind of, I mean, it's not losing for like white or anything like that. It's pretty balanced, but still, this I don't want to play this type of positions, right? But actually, there's just a move here that deals with this threat. The bishop is getting attacked twice, and there's no really way to defend this bishop right now. So just an intermediate move here, queen f4, which attacks his queen, and yeah, he doesn't really have time to move his queen out of the way, because if he moves the queen out of the way, I'm just gonna take the bishop, and then I'm pressuring the knight with my rook and my queen. So the only move here is to just trade the queens, and yeah, I've just won a pawn. Although now he could have gone for rook h5, but then again, after bishop g5, he probably has to defend his knight, and just knight f4, I'm just threatening the rook, I'm threatening to go on e6, and just completely winning. So he didn't take the pawn on h3, he played knight h5. And here I played bishop g5, just attacking his rook. He played rook f8, trying to trade rooks. I felt like I didn't want to trade rooks just yet and lose the control of the f file, so I just played h5, defending my pawn and just giving an outpost for my bishop there on g5. I thought the bishop was nice there. And here he just played bishop c8. Nice move, just bringing back the bishop into the game, which wasn't doing anything on a6. Let's be honest. And here I knew that I was better, but I was struggling a bit to just improve my position. And I played rook g1, and this idea with rook g1, it's probably not the best. Even though I don't want to trade rooks, the best would probably be to just take rooks and play then play rook g1 and try to target this pawn. But yeah, I decided to not trade rooks just yet, and go rook g1. So my idea was to just target this pawn in the future, and also stop ideas with bishop g5, bishop g4 here, because then, like, is pinning my knight, and also this knight is getting like watched by the bishop. So, in the event of me making a random move like king c1, for example, I was afraid of bishop g4, and here, like, he's threatening to take here. So I play like this, and he just, no, this actually just loses because he just does this and I can't recapture. But I was afraid of those kind of moves, so I just played rook g1. He played rook f7 to try to double his rooks. Very logical move. And here I just played rook f1. He doubled the rooks. I traded, and we reach a similar position here. Here, I really didn't see the move that the engine suggests. The engine just says, just bishop c1, bring the bishop back and target g6. I didn't see all of that. I played knight e1, trying to get my knight into the game, and also just get rid of this attack, you know. Played rook king b7. I played knight e3. Here I was happy because my knight was getting into the game, getting into good squares. He played rook f2, which I calculated that I could just play um, rook g2 because, you know, rook f1 is covered by knight e3, and of course I'm defending the knight, so all good. And I was like, okay, I'm up a pawn. If I trade all these rooks and you know, I get a position like this, I thought that I would be winning, and I had winning chances. And here I was very happy because knight f4, he doesn't trade, but I do take the pawn, which, I mean, now I was just up 2 pawns, and I thought, okay, there's no way I'll lose this, let's go. We just need to convert this position. Although, the problem here is that his king is very active compared to mine, and maybe he can try to blockade my pawns or something like that. Also, he has the bishop pair, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, he went king e6, which I don't really understand because that just lets me trade another pair of minor pieces. And here we have a position where I'm up 2 pawns, one passed pawn here, and I have a knight and a bishop against two bishops, the bishop pair. So let's see how I handle this position. So I went knight g2. If you ask me my idea, I think my idea was to go into e3 and maybe start bringing my king, and in the future maybe f5, maybe go into c4, you know, start targeting some things. Also bishop d8, bishop c7, bishop b8, but I felt like my knight needed to come back because he wasn't really doing anything on f4. He went bishop d4, which kind of stops my idea of going knight. It actually doesn't probably stop it, but I went knight f4 back to go to e2 and target the bishop, which I think it was already a mistake because it doesn't really make sense to go back to f4, go to g2, go back to f4, because now, I mean, it just gets his pieces out, and I was already feeling bad about this decision. I already felt like I made a mistake. I just lost a tempo for nothing. Now I can't even play knight e2 because he just played bishop g4, so I felt like I was already giving away my advantage. The computer says that I'm still doing very well. But yeah, I went knight g2 back, so I just repeated moves, which, it's kind of disgusting, to be honest. He brought the king in, and you know, I just played bishop e3, knight e3, and my idea was, okay, just take the knight and let's try to do this with the opposite color bishop. You know, like, it was probably a bad idea because just the opposite colored bishop endgames are considered to be always drawn, and even if you like up a pawn, it's an easy draw, and sometimes even with up 2 pawns it can be a draw. But I thought that there's no way that it is a draw because, like, his pawns are very weak here, double pawns. I have an outside pass pawn, which is gonna be very hard to deal with. Also, I mean, his pawns are on dark squares, so my bishop can target them really easily, and I have ideas to create a passed pawn here with c3, you know, d4, and just create two passed pawns on one in the center and one on the side. So yeah, I just went king f7. I started bringing my king in. Here he played a6. I played c3, and this c3 idea, it's actually a very cool one because I knew that after a6 he probably wants to play a b5, you know. He wants me to take and undouble his pawns and, you know, just try to make a draw. And the c3 move was aimed at dealing with b5 with c4, because now, like, he can't really undouble his pawns, right? Because if he doesn't do anything like this, I just improve my king as well, and I'm getting closer to the pawns. if he like pushes, uh, I mean this is stuck on a lights on the dark square, so that's very very good for me. Uh, and he did what he did in the game was he took, and I think that was also awesome for me because after takes, uh, I mean this pawn is just stuck here forever, and it's a target for me, and you know like his position is just collapsing. Here the computer already says that I'm +3, so I'm pretty much winning. But yeah, there's still a lot of technique to be employed and used and showed to win this type of positions because you know it's not that easy. I went bishop b8, he went bishop g4. I started improving my king, and I played a5, protecting my pawn. He went back, and I target that pawn. He defended it. I did this move, just a waiting move. He went bishop d1. He also has waiting moves. I went back to bishop a7. He went back to bishop h5. I checked him. He went king e6, and it's not that like easy to say what you should do because I mean the engine says that it's +6 and I should play king d2. I don't understand king e2. Don't ask me what the computer is trying to do, honestly. I just went e5, which is a very bad move, apparently. The computer also suggests like king f4 would be better, but like after bishop e2, I just thought that, I mean, going back and we are in the same position, right? So, I mean, I didn't see the idea of queen d2, king d2, sorry, and I mean, what else? Let's say this. Yeah, the computer is just it's almost like it's repeating moves. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the computer wants to play d4 at some point. Let's see. Say bishop 2 here. Oh, there's already c5. Oh, sacking the bishop. Okay, the computer wants to sack the bishop. And what if he takes? Oh, if he takes e5. Oh yeah, like I didn't see all of this. No way I did. No way I saw all of this. I didn't even think of sacking the pawn. Yeah, this is too much for me. So I went the more human way with like bishop b8, pushing the pawn to e5. You know, he went king f5. I went bishop d6, and it was a nice move because I was gonna win this pawn no matter what. He went king g4, and here I thought that I'd just be winning. I just took the pawn, he took the pawn, and I thought, okay, I mean, there's no way I'll lose this. I'm up 2 pawns still, and I just will create a passed pawn here, connected passed pawn, and I'll just win. His king is way too offside, and I can just make opposition with king f4. I don't even know why I didn't play king f4 immediately. This probably would be better. I don't know what I was missing. Oh, I think I was afraid of bishop e2, kind of. But yeah, I mean, d4, bishop here, and f5, you know, eventually I'm gonna just get this pawn rolling, and he doesn't have time because his king is kind of here. So yeah, king f6. If the king starts trying to get closer to my pawns, he just e6. And if the king tries to get closer here, I mean, he just lost, right? But I didn't see this, which yeah, I was very tired. I was very nervous, but still, it's no excuse. I just played d4, so the idea is almost the same, though. I don't know. I felt like here he probably could have gone like bishop g5 or something like that, and you know make me lose time. But of course now I have d5. Yeah, it's very hard position to defend. He's completely losing. There's no way to have a correct defense. But he just went bishop f7, targeting my pawn. Of course I didn't want to play king d3 because it just helps him get back into the game with getting his king closer, even though this is still winning. Yeah, I mean, this everything seems to be winning apparently, which is kind of crazy. Um, I went d4. He went bishop f7. And I thought I would be fine if I just sacked that pawn and banked on the other pawn, you know, the best pawn. So he didn't took. He played bishop e6 first, which was nice, not letting me come to f5. And here I made the crucial mistake of the game. I was plus 10 here. The move that just wins on the spot. It's king e4, just the easiest move to win on the spot. Now I'm really threatening d5. Um, so, you know, when he takes the pawn, I go king f5, and now it's just over, you know. I'm just gonna push and queen, or if he sacks the bishop, I'm just gonna win the other pawns, and yeah, it's just over. Also, if I play here and he does, like, I don't know, king g5, trying to come closer to the pawns, I always have, like, you know, bishop e7 and d5 at some point, you know, like this, and this is just over. There's nothing more to say, and yeah, it's kind of sad. There's always d5 here, and yeah, I mean, this is just winning, and you can see that it's easily winning here. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't play like I should, like this. So I made a huge mistake, and what was the mistake was pushing d5 immediately, which just loses pretty much all the advantage after c takes d5 here. It still gives some hopes for white. Actually, white is still completely winning, which is kind of crazy because I have bishop e7 or bishop f2, let's say bishop e7 here, and he has to move his king, so let's say king h5, and here I have c5, which is, like, still winning. Like, the engine is crazy on this one, but yeah, this is still winning because now I'm like, I can't even explain why is this still winning. Maybe because I can get my king around here to protect that. Ugh, it's so complicated. It's so complicated, but yeah, I mean, of course I didn't see this. I just played d5 to take, sack the pawn, and just go king f5. You know, I thought that, okay, I'm just gonna push my pawn, and he's gonna sack the pawn for he's gonna sack the bishop for the pawn, and I'm just winning. But here I made the crucial mistake of thinking that I could win this position. I totally I don't know why the frames of my computer are so bad right now. I'm sorry, guys, but I don't know what is happening, honestly. But yeah, I made the crucial mistake of thinking that this was still winning, and it's not winning because the king, as happened in the game, can just come into the a8 square, and because my bishop is not from the same color of this square, I can, like, never really win this position, even if I win this pawn, which happened. So yeah, very sad. The game continued because I was actually very annoyed, and I didn't want to just accept the draw. I still tried something like that he blundered, but of course it was just frustration from my part because there's no way he's gonna, like, blunder this. But yeah, kind of sad that I was completely winning. Played a brilliant game in my opinion, just from a strategical point, and even the end game was very nice, well played with opposite colored bishops. But in the end, I just rushed. Like, in this critical position, I had probably like 10, 12 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. Okay, maybe I had 8 minutes or something like that. I know that I had more than at least 5 minutes, and I know that I played d5 almost instantly with, like, probably 1 minute of thinking or less, which is not acceptable, you know. It's not a move that you just play. It was in this position. It's not a move that you just play like that. I mean, there was plenty of moves that won, including just the simple king e4. Also, bishop e7 is also good. You know, king h5, and here king e4. But yeah, these type of endgames are very complicated. But I learned a lesson in general. This video is very long, but I also want to close out with some thoughts in general. This was clearly not. It was half of a mistake of not understanding the endgame, that it would be a draw even with a pawn up because of the a8 square. But also, it was more of a lack of just calmness to really think through, okay, should I just push d5 or should I do another move? And I just blitzed out d5 because I thought that just it was winning. But yeah, there was no problem in just including this move, because I mean, if he gets closer, let's say if he gets closer, it's still like d5. There's no way for him to stop. And if he takes the pawn, I can go to f5, which was my initial idea, if you remember, because here, when he took the pawn, I wanted to go f5, right, and be completely winning. So he tried to do an intermediate move here, but I have this intermediate move here, and you know, I just missed this, because if he takes now, it's the same position as before, you see. But yeah, one thing that I want to do, and this video is already long, but I'm gonna make it quick, I think, with these final thoughts. I mean, even though I lost, I didn't lost. I drew. Even though I drew, this I think was still my best game overall. Even though I made this huge blunder at the end, that just cost me the win. But I still think that overall, it was fantastic for me. My best game so far. And one thing that this was more of like a psychological thing of not really just calming down, taking a deep breath, and just thinking about the position a little bit more. If I thought at least for another 2-3 minutes and try to calculate simple things, you know, should I really push d5? Do I really need? Am I in a hurry, or can I play king e4? You know, and yeah, I feel like before the games I have this tendency, and I feel like most of the players have this tendency of looking at a lot of random lines to try to prepare, but like right before the game or the day before, the night before the game, which I feel like it's, I mean, maybe it might work for some people, but for me it doesn't work really. I just end up getting confused, and I feel like before the night before the game, or the day of the game, what I want to do to prepare is more of a mental preparation, in terms of I'm gonna get a small notebook and I'm gonna write down lessons that I learned, like psychological lessons that I learned from my games, to read before the game. So when I get into these time pressure situations or tense moments or critical positions, I can remember those points that I made before during my analysis, and I can learn something from that, and maybe that will help me to close out some of these missed wins and improve on that. For example, in this video, the lesson that I learned is, I mean, when you have like a winning position, that you know that even if you blunder, the worst that can happen is a draw. So if you have a two-way result like this one, for example, I mean, I can blunder two pawns or even all my pawns and probably still be like drawing, you know? So in this type of positions, when I still have time, I should really, really take my time in every single move to guarantee that I'm making the best move and I'm not giving away my advantage and my win. For example, here I had probably like 10-12 minutes in this position, and I should have just think for like 5-6-10 minutes. Uh, Mind you, maybe even get down to like 30 seconds on the clock. It doesn't matter. I should have spent all that time, because there's no problem in me dipping into below 1 minute when there's only two um like possibilities in the game, win or draw. At least if I think through and I make all the effort to find the best move in this type of position, critical positions, even if I make a blunder and I end up drawing, at least I know that I tried my best and I used all my time to find the best move. And if I can't find it, fair enough. I'm just not strong yet enough to find those type of moves. But here it wasn't really a question of me being strong, it was me just rushing because I was nervous. And like this one, I have a lot of lessons that I've learned through the games that I've played so far in the standard format, and I really want to make a notebook to go through all the points and all the lessons that I learned before my matches so that mentally I have them on my pocket when I feel more nervous on a or in a time pressure situation or in just a critical position and stuff like that. Uh, and yeah, I feel like that is a very unusual thing to do, but I think it will pay off, especially for me, uh, which I find myself like not being able to close out winning positions regularly, more than anything else. But yeah, this was probably one of the longest, if not the longest, video that I've recorded for this series. But I felt like it was a fantastic game with a lot of things to learn. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And next video will be the last match of the Queima das Fitas tournament. So yeah, stay tuned, guys, and I'll see you next time.